High school football is about a lot more than the wins and losses. It's about tradition, community, and the people leading the program. Our Coach's Corner Next Man Up series continues with new Belton's head coach Josh Mann. We talk about the Tigers' rich history, the possibility of renewing old rivalries, his love for Texas country music, and how his days as a college walk-on still shape the way he coaches today. Going from a school that you literally said built from the ground up to a school with so much history, what have fans, I guess, talked to you about the history or maybe their time when they played out here?
There's a lot of stories I've been told. You know, they've all got their stories about this time here at different places and when this happened, and and they're excited. They all want to see this thing get back to where it can be and where it is, but just a little bit better. And so, it's cool from building tradition to walking in. So now it's like, okay, well, can I be the next step or the next story, and what story is that going to be told in the history of Belton? Because there's already a legacy behind me now. What do I get to do, making it going forward and following some of the great coaches and great kids that have been here?
Something I know a lot of people would love to see brought back is the Temple-Belton rivalry. That's something I've heard a lot about. Have you heard anything about that yet, Coach?
I've heard a few stories about it. I think we probably heard more about Lake Belton and Belton, which, that's for football's not in there. But yeah, I've heard the stories about the Temple-Belton days. A buddy I coached with went to Temple, and we lost to him at Amarillo High, and I was reminded of that as I took the Belton job about still Temple football. But for me, I love rivalries. I grew up Amarillo High. We played Tascosa. I coached Wichita Falls against Ryder. To me, it's one of the biggest rivalries out there. I'm excited about those things. I know it's not on the schedule yet, but I try not to make the rivalry games any bigger than anyone else because you're such short time. It's so limited, so they're all pretty important. But it is cool when you pack the stands and it's two communities. I mean, we got Waco Midway back on the schedule, so that's a big one. Maybe in a year or two, maybe we get Temple back on there too. We'll see.
Well, you're a Texas guy through and through.
Yeah.
Earlier we were talking about your love for country music. You love Texas country.
Yes.
Let's tell the people a little bit about that. So who are some people you like to listen to? What is some good Texas music?
Well, I was growing up about that time, that the 90s style was fading out and the Nashville scene was big, and guys like Jerry Jeff Walker and Gary P. Nunn, and this guy named Robert O'King comes on with Number 2 Live, which I think is the all-time best album probably put together ever. And next thing you know, this guy Pat Green and Corey Merle start coming on the scenes, and man, I was hooked. Just something we get into long debates with my boys and some of my buddies back there, like what's the best song? We'll go off of Apple Music for hours trying to outdo each other on who's got the best song.
Something I love about you and your story, you spent some time at Angelo State.
Yeah.
You were a walk-on there, right?
I was.
Okay, so how much of that walk-on mentality do you still carry with you today?
Oh gosh, probably almost every day. I remember years where I felt like nobody knew who I was and didn't care about me, and that sucked. And it's hard to do when you're the head coach because there's almost 200 kids here. Trying to get to learn them all and know them now, especially that I'm new here, is the biggest challenge. And I want to make sure they all feel valued. And sometimes you're never more than just a scout team guy in a football program. That's the sad part about the life of it. I get it, was that for a lot of years, but the value you bring, even though you might not be out there on Friday night as much as you want, this game doesn't exist without those kind of guys in the game. And trying to bring that love to them as well as to your starters, I think is what taught me the most about being a walk-on.
Well, to check out our full conversation with Coach Mann, you can see it right now on the 6 News app. And don't forget to join us right back here on Thursday as we introduce you to the Tigers' rival head coach, Kirk Rogers, over at Lake Belton. New episodes of Coach's Corner Next Man Up air every Tuesday and Thursday.